Welcome, my yoga friends. Today's going to be restorative yoga, and you could grab some props from around the house, or if you have some actual yoga props, we're going to grab those. But blankets and pillows and throw pillows from a couch, things like that are great. Scarf you could use to tie up instead of a strap. But if you have a yoga strap or a belt, like a belt, especially one with a D-ring, is very helpful. So it's really all this is like a little belt. So if you have that, go ahead and grab it. If you don't have any of those, that's okay. We're gonna make do. It'll be all right. Okay, so if you have, also, I would like you to have a wall or a chair that you could put your legs on, either legs up, for we'll do legs up the wall as part of our restoration, or legs just draped over a chair or side of a bed or whatever is close by. So something that you could kind of prop your legs on would be a nice option to have as well. So I'm going to go ahead and sit back here. I'm going to grab this blanket behind me. I'm going to sit next to the wall. If you don't have something to lean against, it's okay. All right, so I want you to just find a space that you can be centered. I like this. I'm going to set this blanket right up next to the wall, and then I'm going to scoot back all the way toward it so that I'm supported. If you don't have that, it's all right. I just want you to sit in the middle of your space, but align yourself so that your shoulders are over your hips and the crown of the head is over your tail. So this is why the wall can be really nice. I want you to back all the way up into it if you're using it, so that you can feel your very low back. If you have that supported, you can feel that space of the sacrum kind of pressing toward the wall just a little. But the lumbar spine, the middle, the section just above that where the curve goes in, is going to stay just neutral, meaning it's going to stay with a natural curve. You don't need to flatten it out. We're going to pull the shoulders back into the space that you're on. And just take a moment to close your eyes. Feel the back of your head resting against this wall or piece of furniture, whatever you may have. And if you have nothing to put your head on, it's okay. Imagine that it was extended up to your head. So shoulders pulling back, tail anchoring toward the floor, eyes closed. I want you to feel the upper back anchoring also. Once again, you should have a little bit of space, maybe in your low back. Go ahead and take a deep breath in and imagine that you're just expanding in all directions. So you're expanding behind you, to the sides, and to the front. But try to emphasize the expansion in the back and in the side waist. So start to slow down your breath. Take a long breath in. Exhale slowly out. So part of our restoration today is slowing down the breath, and this will help to decrease your heart rate. It'll lower the blood pressure. Put your body in a space of relaxing and restoring. Try to soften the face, the jaw, the space around the eyes, and in between the eyes. The hands may be just resting right on your thighs. Palms could be up or down, and just draw your elbows back so they're draping underneath the shoulders themselves. Start to think about lifting the back of your head as though you're sliding it up the wall. And that's just going to drop your chin a little bit. Notice if your rib cage feels like it's kind of lifting up to the front of the body, and then draw the rib cage down so you really feel that mid back space kind of pressing toward the wall. Expanding in all directions. This is a great time to set intention for the rest of your day, no matter what time of day you're doing this practice. We'll take about 3 to 4 more rounds of breath in. Notice if there's any tension holding around the neck, the shoulders. Relax. Breathe into the space. With your next breath in, go ahead and start to slowly, you can open your eyes with a soft gaze, or you can keep your eyes closed through the majority of this practice. We're going to sweep the arms up. Once again, if you're against an item that you can push your arms back toward, go ahead and do so. And keep the rib cage drawn down. Interlace the fingers and then just flip the palms up and go ahead and drive that pinky toward the wall behind you. As you drive your biceps, your triceps toward the wall behind you. Biceps are closer to your ears. And you're dropping your shoulder blades down, keeping the ribs drawn in. So try to reach up as high as you can just through your arms without lifting your shoulders. So I want you to straighten out your arms as much as you can, getting that wonderful stretch there underneath the arms, down through the side waist. And we start to lean over to the right. So if you're on the wall, you're just going to slide. If you're not on a wall, it's okay. Just imagine there's a wall behind you and you're sliding over. Your fingers are still interlaced. You're reaching out long through both arms. Coming back up, inhale. The palms are flipped toward the sky. Fingers together and over to the left. So you're reaching all the way from the waist and out. Good. And we'll come back up. Do that one more time to each side. Inhale. Anchor left hip as you reach to the right. Try to keep your head centered between the arms. Arms are very straight, reaching out. And one more here. Inhale. And exhale. And then back to center. We'll release the hands. I want you to bring them down just shoulder height. So palms are still flipped out. Fingertips are toward the sky, shoulders back and down. Try to squeeze your shoulder blades a little bit and drop the shoulders down. Good. Reach out through the heel of your palm. You may feel some kind of like an electrical charge from the palm all the way underneath the arm, and that's okay. Okay, that's just a little bit of information happening there, sending you back to you, letting you know that there's a stretch happening here. One more breath, and then release it all the way down. And let's do a few shoulder rolls. Lift up and roll back. Inhale, lifting, and exhale all the way back. 2 more times. Inhale, and exhale. Last one. Now, as you come back to center, neutral, I want you to bring your elbows to the front like you're holding a yoga block or something in front of you or a book. Okay, so elbows just right in front of your shoulders and about shoulder height. Drop your shoulder blades down the back, and then in, again, if you're on a wall, I want you to push back into it and then open up. Okay. So bring the elbows out to the side, press them against whatever's behind you, and then bring it back to center. So you could tap your elbows together before your hands reach. Okay, before your hands meet, I want you to try to tap your elbows together. Pull back and imagine that you're pushing back with your arms and your elbows to the wall. And then bring it back to center, elbows coming forward. Head and your back still on the wall. Inhale. And exhale. Good. One more here. Inhale, opening. Keeping rib cage drawn down. Exhale, back to center. And then we're going to open up again. Bring your right arm forward. So right elbow comes right to center as far as you can bring it in. Left arm's going to sweep under. Now, decide here, you can start with big hug. Okay, so hands can wrap around. You're stacking your elbows here and lifting off of the chest. If you prefer, you could take it into eagle arms. So if you can wrap that bottom wrist around your hand around your wrist, then go ahead and take that action. Okay, drop the shoulder blades back, try to push into the wall with the upper back, but still maintain ribs drawn down. Tail down to your mat or your blanket, and lift the elbows up just a bit. Okay, so you're pressing your elbows together like you're pushing them away from your chest just a bit, and lifting off of the chest. Good. Take 2 more rounds of breath. See if you can push into the space between your shoulder blades, like you're pushing it into the item behind you. Big breath in, maybe lift your elbows a tiny bit more if possible. And then as you start to lower your elbows down, just let your hands gently come forward. They may not fall forward very far. It's okay if your hands are wrapped. You're probably not going to go forward too far. You can start to round here just a bit, rolling toward the floor. Then we'll come back up and we're releasing. Open it up like you take a Band-Aid off really fast. Okay, good. And we'll bend the elbows again. Okay, left arm coming forward, right arm sweeping under. And once again, you could take that action here, big hug, or if your elbows are crossed. So what I'm asking is when you take big hug, your arms are parallel with one another and to the floor. So make a parallel position first, one on top, one on bottom, and then just slide them together and wrap. Okay, that's all you're doing there. So instead of bringing that hand up on top of your shoulder, okay, so it's down here more towards your armpit, and we're lifting. And then if you decide that you want to wrap, you take that bottom hand up and wrap it on your wrist. Okay, so if that is available for you today, it may not be on one side and it is on the other. So it's really dependent on your body. So I want you to push back with your shoulder blades, pull the ribs in. Start to lift your elbows off your chest, whichever position you've chosen for yourself. Deep breath in, try to push back a little bit in that space between your shoulder blades as you lift your elbows away from your chest and float your elbows up, shoulder blades driving down. Okay, 2 more rounds of breath. This is a fantastic stretch to do anytime during the day, especially if you sit at a computer or you kind of do an activity where you're rounded quite a bit or forward head, you're looking down. This is an awesome, awesome stretch to do throughout the day. I want you to bring it back down. Now let those hands fall forward, or if you're in wrapped arms, I want you just to drop your elbows and start to round it forward a bit. Scoop the belly in. You can try to keep your back against the wall if you have that there available. And come back up. Let's unwind and release. Just drop it down. We're going to take the head side to side a couple of times. Once again, bring it back so that you know that it's in line with your shoulders. So if your head's touching the wall and your back is on the wall, then you're going to be most likely in better alignment. Okay, rather than that forward head movement. So let's bring it back to center. Now, if you are against something here, I want you to move yourself forward just a bit. So I'm going to scooch you up here. Okay, back onto the mat a bit. So there's some space behind you. So as we're seated tall here, and you can always take a moment if your knees are bothering you or you want to shake out your legs, just shake them out. Another option, if you have any issue with your knees while you're sitting here in this position, go ahead and prop them up with some items, blocks, blankets, bolsters, whatever you have, pillows, can be helpful there. All right, so we're gonna sit tall and then move into seated twist. So taking left hand across to right knee and then right hand sweeping back behind you. I want you to try to bring it right in the center. So wherever the midline of your back is, that's where I want you to let your hand land right behind you. So I'm just gonna turn to the side, easier to see. Okay, so right here. Rather than over here to the side or way back behind you, just bring it in like you're just using it like a little kickstand. Let's bend that elbow a little bit, draw the shoulder back, and you can always start to turn your head last to look over that back shoulder. Sitting tall, relax both shoulders down. Good. We're gonna stay here for a few rounds of breath. Still breathing deeply. Try to rotate a little further on each exhale. Let the hips relax. Knees are open. Try not to let yourself get distracted. I know at home it's easy to get distracted, so just sit here with your breath and be here in this moment. Take 2 more rounds of breath in. On your last breath, go ahead, turn your head, look over the front shoulder. Notice if it's lifting up towards you, and then drop it down. Just look over toward the left side, past your knee. And then we'll turn all the way back to center, releasing, ready to move into the other side. So left hand starts to sweep behind you, starting to turn the ribs, and then the right hand crosses over. Sit tall, inhale. Exhale, rotate back a little further. So imagine the same wall still behind you, even though you're twisting. And where was your head before? The crown of the head was right over the tail, and the head was pulling back just a bit so that it did not fall forward. So same action here. And then as you're looking back past your back shoulder or toward that direction, Just moving to the level that feels right and appropriate for your own neck and your own spine. 3 more rounds of breath. With the last breath, coming back to center and releasing. Good. Hands right to the knees. Inhale, lift through the chest. And then exhale, rounding out into seated cat. So pull back and just round yourself back. Inhale, rocking forward a bit, lift the chest. Exhale, push your spine like you're going to press it to the wall behind you as you round back. Taking one more here, inhale. And exhale, coming back. Back up to center. And then ready for Baddha Konasana. Yay, Supta Baddha Konasana. Reclining cobbler or reclining bound angle. All right, so here I'm going to take several props. If you have a blanket, go ahead. If you don't have a bolster, just stack a couple blankets or some pillows. Your bed pillows work great for this as long as they're not too soft. Okay, so couch pillows, even better, usually a little firmer. So I'm going to take the bolster that I have. I'm going to take the blanket on top. Okay. And now you may want to use your blocks as well. Okay, so now if this is a little low for you, you could also prop this up with one of your blocks. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to give you some more options though for your legs, so I'm saving my blocks. But just know that you can always elevate your ramp here. So I'm going to turn so that the low back sacrum is pretty close to the bolster. Okay? Leaning back, I'm going to start with the feet on the floor. Blocks are nearby or extra pillows or any other support you may have. So leaning back. Now if you decide here that this is again still just a little bit too low for you, you can prop the items up, or you can even take another pillow or roll up what you have to place under your head to add a little more lift. Okay, so just make decisions based on how you feel. We're going to take the blocks as an option as you put your feet together and then let your knees open up. So this is the bound angle portion of this. All right, so letting the knees open. Now some days this doesn't feel good for my hips. All right, depends on what's going on and how I'm feeling that day. I have one that just really does not agree with this on many days. So in that case, you can take blocks or pillows and slide them underneath the outer thigh here to give you support. And for restorative purposes, I would suggest being supported. All right, so we're not trying to stretch into an uncomfortable space or anything. Restoration is really about letting your body restore, meaning it's supported. All right, so try to eliminate any distractions. Let yourself just relax into the space. That's the only way that your body can have that moment of solitude and break. Taking deep breaths in, exhale out. Let the eyes become heavy. Tongue relaxed into the mouth, softening the space between the eyes. Every exhale, allow yourself to get a little softer through the space around the eyes and between the eyes, the cheeks and the jaw. See if you can slow down your breath, even one count further. So as you inhale slowly, try using a count maybe up to 4 or 5, and then exhale 1 to 2 counts longer than the inhale. Taking about 4 more rounds of breath. as you begin to just mentally prepare for your next movement. A little movement through the fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. We'll start to bring the feet back to the mat. You can use your hands to help your knees back together. You can move your props. Let's move those props if you have them, just kind of off to the side, out of the way. Turning on your bolster if you like, or you can roll over off of it. And we'll turn to one side for just a moment with your knees together and resting in this side lying position. So with your next breath, we're going to straighten out that top leg. Use your top hand for a little support to help press you up. We'll come all the way up to seated. Now we're already in the perfect position here. I'm just going to slide this bolster off to the side for a second. We're going to take a blanket and sit back on that blanket. And then just sweeping the feet over to one side. So we're going to look like a little zigzag or like almost like a little mermaid sit. And you can position this blanket underneath you however you like. So I've got mine at a bit of an angle, so it's just more under, just kind of like my legs are, going at an angle. So right now, if you're mirroring me, we're going to have legs over to your left, and we're going to twist over to the right. So starting to turn and twisting your left hand to right knee and turning. Okay. So a little bit different twist than our first easy seated twist. Just turning here. I want you to put a little weight back on that left side so that you're not just lifting that left hip up and arching your back. So drop that left hip down and rotating. If you feel comfortable here, you can even wrap your back hand. So if you want to reach your back hand around and just kind of hold it around the waist behind you to open up that back shoulder, so the right shoulder. If that's something that does not appeal to you or your shoulder's kind of getting a little cranky today, just stay with your hand on the floor or a block. Taking just another breath, and we'll come up and just sweep your legs to the other side. I'm just going to readjust my blanket a little, angling it slightly the other direction, and then sweep those legs over. So dropping that right hip down. Okay, take a breath in. And then exhale, rotating. So away from your feet. We're dropping that right hip back down, twisting to the left. And you just lift it very tall, rotating. So try not to lean back too much. Just bring your hand in like a little kickstand behind you. Let it drop right beneath your shoulder. Okay, so if I turn, you'll see right here. And then you could also take that back hand, if you choose, and just rotate the thumb down. Okay, palm out. We're going to sweep it back and you can bring it around. Okay, so that's just if you want to open up the back shoulder a little more, back chest, or the back side here on the left side of your chest. Again, try to notice if you're lifting that that right hip up and it's causing you to kind of overarch and you're shifting your chest forward. I want you to lean back into it just a little bit. Drop the right hip down. Try to keep both sit bones toward the floor. Take one more breath. And coming back to center. And just shake it all out. And we're going to take our bolster, okay, or your supply of pillows, whatever you have, and possibly even your blanket. So just build yourself a little kind of lift here with whatever items you have available. So a bolster and blanket if you have it, or a couple of pillows. And something a little more firm on top. Once again, we're just gonna take the knees and kind of straddle this situation that we've created, this little lift here. So we're gonna take the knees to the outer edges and bring your heels underneath you. If this is bothering your knees or your hips, you could always prop yourself up by lifting up and taking something beneath you here, okay, on your heels. We're going to come forward though, supported child's pose. So at any point, if you need to lift up, take items and prop up your ramp. Okay? Otherwise, we're going to lie on this bolster and ramp that we've built and just allow yourself to drape over it and be supported. One of my favorite restorative poses is this supported child's pose. Make it work for you. Make sure that you feel comfortable. You should be feeling very supported and very comforted in this posture. Your head can be to one side, or you could just build a little lift here with your hands and rest your forehead. Just allow yourself to let the breath move in and out freely. If you have your head turned to one cheek, go ahead and rotate to the other side with your head, just to give your neck equal time to each side. I want you to prepare yourself here to begin to move into your next position as you slide your hands back very slowly. Start to lift up. And as we come up to seated, we're going to take our strap, if you have one. Okay, so I'm going to position myself. If you don't have a wall, this is where we're going to do legs up the wall, or just a different variation of that would be legs draped over a chair or a bedside or ottoman, whatever you might have available. Okay, so a doorway works great because you can close the door and just put your legs right up that door. So we probably all have a door somewhere. Okay, so you can take your strap or whatever you have, belt, or even a scarf, and you'll just tie the scarf. Okay, we're going to bring it up on the thighs. Okay, so whatever you have, make sure you've tightened it. If you have a D-ring or some type of a clasp, go ahead and tighten it so that you can bring it up. And we're going to bring the thighs, they don't have to touch completely, like your knees don't have to knock together, but we're going to make sure that you can press into this and they won't fall apart. Okay, so right on the mid-thigh space right here above your knees. Okay, that's all you're doing. All right, so once you have that secure, you're going to bring yourself up to whatever item you have, whether it's the wall or a bed or ottoman, and I'm going to slide really close to it. So here's how I get on the wall. Okay, you sit right next to it, to one side, and then lean back and sweep the legs up. Okay, now that may not place you in just the right position, so you're still going to have to do a little wiggle, but it should get you there a little bit better than just trying to wiggle yourself all the way up there. Okay, so if you'll do that, and then the reason we have our legs tied together is so that we don't have to expend any energy making sure that they don't fall apart. So we're just going to let the mind relax, the nervous system relax, everything is supported, and we're not taking any extra energy thinking about holding our legs up or doing anything else. Okay? So if you have really, really, really tight hamstrings, then you may like to bend your knees onto an item that you can drape your legs over. Okay. So just let yourself relax here. Arms can be out to the sides, shoulders back. Deep breath. Once again, legs can still be somewhat separated. You can even push them into that strap just to give yourself a little space. So legs up the wall is a fantastic supported position. So this is something, whether your legs are on the wall or on a chair or ottoman, that it can allow your low back to really relax. It even allows the psoas to rest. So this is fantastic at restoring the low back pain or just tired legs. Let the breath move in and out freely. If you feel like your chin is kind of lifting up and your forehead is kicking back, take a blanket or something that you don't have to prop up too that high and place it right underneath your head. Okay, so because everybody's a little different, and sometimes we rest on the floor and our head kind of kicks back. I want you to bring it back down by giving yourself enough lift that your head won't fall back. We'll stay here for about 5 more rounds of breath, just focusing on your breath and allowing yourself to be here. Taking last few moments here, noticing if there's any tension that you're holding through your face or your shoulders. Taking a deep breath in, exhaling like a sigh through the mouth. Beginning to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Go ahead and start to slide your feet back down the wall, knees toward the chest, and you can take a moment even drawing the knees in, give them a hug. We'll rock over to one side from this position, and then pressing back up with your top hand. Once you've reached that sideline position, and we'll come back up. Now you can keep your strap, you could take it off for a moment just to move, but I'm going to keep it nearby. We're going to do a different variation of a supported bridge. Okay. So we're actually going to be completely supported on our torso on this bolster or blankets or even, again, some pillows that you might have. So I'm going to take this bolster situation here. I'm going to go ahead and take a blanket behind. So you may also like to have a block over here by your head just in case you want to use that instead of your blanket. So I'm going to keep a pretty good fold lift on this blanket. I'm going to take this other block at the end of the mat. My head is going up here. Feet are going to be propped here. Okay, so once again though, we're going to take our strap or item that you can tie up. I'm going to sit here on the edge of the bolster. I'm going to slide that strap back up the same place on the thighs. So it should already be in a good position if you kept it tied or lassoed. Okay. You may have to do a little bit of kind of moving around to get yourself in just the right spot. I'm going to take the ankles and let them rest on the block. Okay, so make sure it's not too far up the calves. You want it to just be somewhere where you feel supported. And then as you recline back, your shoulders are going to be right there in line with the top of that bolster and your head's going to fall back. So if that's too far back, build yourself up with a little bit more. Now you do want your head to fall a little bit, so it's not necessarily going to be completely level. So unless it's just not something that works for you, okay? This is part of how we're going to open the chest, and this is part of our back bend. Extension of the spine. Okay, so if you feel like you would rather have a block underneath you, you can move your blanket, take that block there, or just build your blanket up under the head. Okay. So we're just kind of in a suspended, supported bridge. The arms are just going to come out to the sides, shoulders relaxed back and down. Let yourself just completely relax here. You want to feel the top of your shoulders kind of off of the bolster or a platform that you've built. Your arms are out, chest is open. So I'll give you just a moment to kind of get situated, get settled, and then just start to find your stillness. So this is a really wonderful practice, once again, to restore, to reestablish your center. But we have done a lot of focus also with some chest opening. And this is a fantastic time to focus on moving forward and just leaving behind what you don't need. Take inventory of your face, your jaw, your space between the eyes. Notice if there's tension. Try to soften just 10% more. So continuing here for about 4 more rounds of breath. Try to breathe in deeply and slowly exhale out. Become just a little heavier, resting on the props, sinking a little deeper. Beginning to prepare yourself for gentle movement, moving fingers, toes, wrists, and ankles. Starting to see if you can lift your feet just kind of off of your block and move them to the mat again. And from here, we'll just roll over to one side, just kind of rolling yourself off of your bolster. So very gently, just roll over to one side and just come off of your bolster and then move it back out of the way. We can remove any straps or anything that you may have around your legs. We're going to continue to roll over for just a moment and then press up so that you can get yourself ready for the next position. And it's going to be our final restorative position. So I'm going to take this bolster, or again, any other props you may be using, and place it here. If you have blocks or something to rest your feet on, or your ankles again, go ahead and place those on the other side of that bolster. If you don't, that's okay. You could use some more items there to rest your legs on, or just let them dangle out there. It's all right. Okay. So your blanket could either be under your head, or you can even cover up with it. Grab as many blankets as you like. Make sure you're cozy here. And we're going to keep this bolster underneath the legs as you roll back. Give yourself a moment to kind of wiggle around, position yourself. Arms are resting down by the sides and away from the body, palms up just to kind of rock those shoulders back again. You might lift your hips up just a tiny bit and kind of drive your tail down toward the back of your legs. And then rest your back on the mat again. Pull your shoulder blades back and down as you press into your elbows. And then relax. Spread out the shoulder blades again. Taking the last few moments here for our final relaxation. Taking a breath in all the way from the soles of the feet, the palms of the hands, and pulling energy up toward the center of the body. With your exhale, sending out a thought of love, of restoration, of unity to your own body. Thank yourself for showing up today for you. Feel the tongue falling away from the teeth as the jaw is relaxed. The space between the eyes becoming broad. The eyes themselves feeling heavy. There's just a sense of ease throughout the body, throughout the mind. As you begin to bring your awareness once again back to your fingers and your toes with gentle movements and increasing that movement to the wrist and the ankles. And further into the elbows, the knees, just begin to move the legs, the arms, and draw the feet up, and then maybe even draw your knees to your chest for another hug. Curling into a nice little ball. As you release the legs, go ahead and keep the knees bent and just roll yourself to one side, resting side lying. As you take that moment, that opportunity once again, breathing in deeply through the center of the body. With your exhale, allow anything that does not serve you in this moment and today to just fall behind, taking what you can use, using your top hand for support, and your top leg straightens out, and it just helps you get back up a little easier, a little less strain. We don't want to just undo everything we've done for ourselves here. As you come back to seated, wherever it is most comfortable for you, let's take a moment, just closing the eyes, kind of basking in this restoration and this very gentle practice today. Then if it feels good and right for you, go ahead and bring palms together right at the center of the heart, taking a bow to your own inner wisdom, your own inner teacher, and your own bright light. As you take a deep breath, imagine that light growing brighter. And then just keeping the thumbs together, just let the palms open up like a butterfly. And just kind of shining that light and pressing it out into the world to receive to give to others. And then bringing the palms back together, bring it back into center and bring it back in. Open, just pinky sides together now and placing it right back at your heart center and receiving that light. So I thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. Namaste.